Hello, everybody. I thought I would put together a little video today about an article that I found in Dogs Naturally magazine. Everybody who is in the dog world knows about Dogs Naturally magazine. It's been around a very long time. They sell lots of products, um, and they are on the so-called holistic side of things. They promote a raw diet that is highly supplemented, and they sell lots of supplements and other products. So they're very successful commercially and financially, I imagine. But this article that I found today, and many of the articles that I found on Dogs Naturally magazine's website, are great fodder for a debunker of all things phony holistic, as most of the holistic world is. It's not truly holistic. It suppresses symptoms, just like the pharmaceutical world. So we want to do true holism. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about ear infections a little bit. And this article, because this is very common, very typical of the kind of information that you will read if you go looking for information about how to deal with with ear infections naturally, quote unquote. So this is a pretty long article. It starts out just describing what ear infections are. And when I say infection, you can just imagine quotes around it, because there is no infection without an infecting agent, and no agent is required for ear inflammation. All that is required is an excess of waste being eliminated through the ear canal. So we have a description here of what an ear infection is. Dog ear infections are one of the main reasons people take their dogs to the vet. Well, that would be the reason why we don't have a permanent solution to ear infections being offered by the vet industry, because this is a guarantee of recurring income for the vet industry, including the holistic vet industry. So, the article is going to take us through signs of ear inflammation, and just about everybody knows what ear inflammation looks like in dogs. But conveniently, it says here you can manage less severe ear infections at home. So then this article is going to go into the various types of ear infection, which is a bit of a misnomer, because it's not really a type of ear infection. It only refers to which part of the ear is involved or inflamed. And otitis externa is inflammation of the external parts. Otitis media is inflammation of the middle parts of the ear. And otitis interna is inflammation of the inner ear. So once again, she's going to tell us, the article, the author of the article is going to tell us that we can manage these situations at home. And then, just to make sure that we're completely on board with doing something about our dog's ear inflammation, we are treated to the same scary language that is used by the vet industry to sell their wares. Namely, that these problems can develop into other problems if they are not treated, including, in severe cases, it says, facial paralysis, deafness, or symptoms of vestibular disease. And that's absolutely true, but you don't need to ever treat ear inflammation. You need only to remove its causes. So we're going to go now into the treatments that are typically used for ear inflammation. And the author of the article is opposed to the use of antibiotics and steroids, as she should be, of course, because these are very harmful products. And there's a very interesting paragraph following following her warning against using these things that we will come back to later, but I'm just going to read it now because it's very important. It says discharge and inflammation in the ears is a sign the body's trying to remove toxins absorbed through food, medications, and the environment. That's a good thing. Your dog's body is working to heal itself by getting rid of harmful substances. When you close off that exit route by using suppressive drugs, it can drive the disease deeper. And she goes on to say, it'll come back somewhere else. And that means your dog will get sicker, often with a more serious disease. She's absolutely right about that. And that's the reason why we need to get to the bottom of it. We need to find the ultimate cause, the underlying cause. This article, unfortunately, is not going to help us do that. But the next, let me see, the next paragraph is, oh yeah, we're going to go into all of the treatments that are, that can be used at home that are supposedly natural. So she's going to take us through green tea, calendula, grapefruit seed extract, oil of oregano, apple cider vinegar. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Homeopathic remedies, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't see any links here, but oil of oregano. But these products are no doubt sold on Dogs Naturally magazine's website. So when we get down a little bit farther than halfway into the article, she starts talking about the causes of ear infections in dogs, but she's not going back to that description and that explanation that she already offered us about what the causes are. Here she's going to talk about something new. Here she is going to blame the process by which the body is getting rid of the excess waste coming through the ear. Here she's going to talk about yeast as a cause, bacteria as a cause, hematoma as a cause, and mites as a cause, but these are not causes. She's also including in this list foreign bodies, and that doesn't belong in this article at all because foreign bodies is more like an injury. If your dog gets a grass seed or a foxtail in his ear, those things just keep going in and burrowing in, and they don't come out on their own typically. So sometimes they need to be pulled out. And that's an entirely different situation than blaming waste that's coming through the ear canal on yeast and bacteria and the other various organisms that come along to clean up the mess. Yeast and bacteria are always in your body. They're always in your dog's body. They only proliferate when there is a banquet for them to eat. So we have the beginnings of a disconnect here, because earlier in the article, she tells us what the causes are, what the causes of ear infections are in dogs. And now here she's going to tell us that yeast causes it and the bacteria causes it. And what that sets up is an opportunity to sell something, because if you have this little boogeyman, this little yeasty or this bacteria or the mite, then you can sell a product. You can sell something that's supposed to kill those things. It's supposed to get rid of them, and they do. But what if yeast didn't bring the infection? What if yeast didn't bring the waste? What if it's only there to eat the waste? What if yeast is like flies around a garbage can? The flies didn't bring the garbage, and the yeast didn't bring the waste. So unless we start dealing with the waste, that yeast is going to come back over and over and over. And the products that are sold to kill yeast and kill bacteria will only be temporary. And this guarantees that they'll be temporary. It guarantees it for pharmaceutical vets, and it guarantees it for alternative holistic vets. So here after that, she tells us that an ear infection is rarely just an ear infection. Like other skin conditions, ear infections are often a symptom of a deeper problem. That's absolutely true. and it needs to be addressed, because that waste that is coming through the ear canal is going to perpetually circulate in the bloodstream. It's going to be stored in tumors. It's going to be stored in fat, and it's going to come through the eyes, and it's going to wreak havoc with the vital organs. And it's the cause of all disease. So when you have an ear infection in a dog, it very definitely is like a skin condition. It very definitely has, it very definitely is a sign that there's going to be other problems in the body if something isn't done about it. So towards the end of the article, she's talking about preventing ear infections in dogs. And here she says diet is a huge factor. Diet is number one on her list. I would say diet is not a huge factor. Diet is the factor. It's the number one factor that we need to look at, that we need to change in order to completely avoid the problem of ear inflammation in the future completely. But here she's going to unfairly vilify carbohydrates because some kibbles are so, they're so unnatural and so adulterated, and they have so many ingredients that are not digestible, including carbohydrates that can't be digested by dogs, that they do very much contribute to ear inflammation, just like the rest of the ingredients in kibble. There's nothing wrong with carbohydrates. However, carbohydrates, when they are fed simply and in accord with a dog's biological digestive faculties, there's nothing wrong with them. They can be very healthful foods. They are, in fact, secondary foods for dogs. So, of course, as I mentioned before, Dogs Naturally magazine does advocate a raw diet. They advocate, unfortunately, a highly supplemented raw diet, which gives them more opportunities to sell products to you. And that's what this is about. This is like, I play this little game when every time I read something, every time I watch something on TV or in a movie or any place, I look for the commercial. And believe it or not, most of what you see, if it's in the media at all, is a commercial. Even if it looks like information, it's a commercial. So that's what this article is. This is all about getting people to continue their condemnation of pharmaceutical drugs and jumping on the idea that there's some safe alternative fix to these problems, like these natural remedies. And one of the ways that these people have decided to sell their products is by convincing you that you need to manage your dog's gut bacterial population, which is utter bunk and nonsense. You cannot manage your dog's bacterial population in his gut. You can only manage the waste that is there. So if you manage the waste well, then the bacterial population will be balanced and normal. When you don't do that, there's no other way to do that. You cannot manage the waste burden of a dog by giving these products that are supposed to manage gut health. Those terms, that phrase, managing gut health, and even just the term gut health, when you hear that, it's a marketing slogan. It's a way to sell you a product. You should no more manage the bacteria in your gut or your dog's gut than you could manage your neighbor's household. It's not your business. It's not your affair. You need only mind your own waste burden. And what you're burdening your dog's body with is more waste than can be eliminated through the primary channels of elimination if the dog has ear inflammation. And the only exception to that is when you've already removed the cause and removed the burden, and the ear canal is still being used by the body to remove old waste. That's a temporary process. That process will end. This managing of the flora in the gut, managing of symptoms, the cleaning of the ears, all of that, that is cyclical. That's what you do when you want the problem to be cyclical. Or if you don't realize that there's a permanent solution. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. Here she says something that I absolutely agree with. And she says that healthy ears shouldn't be cleaned, shouldn't need cleaning. She does say excessive ear cleaning. I would say ear cleaning full stop does not need to be done. Especially, and unfortunately, she says a little earwax in the ears is normal, so it's better to leave them alone unless your dog is uncomfortable. And I would say if the dog is uncomfortable, that's even a better reason to not go poking around in there with whatever you might use, Q-tips or a cloth or whatever. So I'm cleaning, you know, it absolutely doesn't solve the problem. It pretty much guarantees that the problem is going to come back because it convinces people that they are getting rid of the problem, and they're not, because the stuff will continue to come through as long as it is still fed to the dog. Let me see here. At the end, she says here, you need to make food and lifestyle changes. You absolutely do. The lifestyle and food changes that Dogs Naturally magazine recommends are more or less a halfway point. They may cause ear inflammation to go away temporarily. They may cause it to happen less frequently, but they will not resolve it permanently. The only way to resolve it permanently is to figure out why so much stuff, why so much waste keeps coming through the dog's ear canal. The only way to do that is to look at the diet and completely change the diet so that there's nothing in the dog's diet that will overburden the primary organs of elimination. And she says here something that is true. You'll need to be patient with the healing process when you're dealing with chronic ear issues in your dog. And here she gets back to her realization, her earlier realization, that the causes of ear inflammation is all about stuff coming through the ears. She says, as your dog releases toxins through her ears, remember that this is an important part of healing. That's absolutely true. But the products that this magazine is selling will not cause the toxins coming through the ears to stop. It may stop temporarily if the body is so distracted by these other remedies that it stops cleansing itself in that way. And that's what happens when you use pharmaceutical drugs. It gives the body something more, even more hazardous to deal with, more dangerous, more of an emergency than cleansing through the ears. So that waste is retained until the body gets a break from these pharmaceuticals or whatever remedies are being used, and then it will begin again. And that's why the process is cyclical when these remedies, all kinds of remedies, are used instead of just removing cause. So it's even more important to be patient with the healing process when you're when you've changed to RMF, when you've decided to feed your dog properly, because the healing process is once and for all. It's a process that will happen once, and then your dog will have the rest of his life to live without these symptoms. So if you understand that and sort of keep your eyes on the prize, you can manage to be a little more patient. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please let me know if I can answer any questions about anything that I've said here. And stay patient and be watching for future videos. Thanks for listening. Bye, everybody.